up top. Naomi up top.
I mean, it's a story that most people know or are somewhat familiar with, but I think in this series what we intended to do was, bring it back up, bring it out in the world, explore maybe a little bit of what we could infer as to what happens behind closed doors within the relationship. It was very public. We really focused on just like how that love endures given a life in public scrutiny.
4, 3, 2. I'm according to whole mere love story.
I was obviously suitably scared. This is an iconic woman who we've all, we remember her very well. So it was a lot of pressure because a high level of responsibility to portray her in the most truthful way is obviously most important. But I loved that it was this part of her life, towards the end of her life. This was something that we haven't explored as much in storytelling. So, yeah, it was a great honor.
And I sort of took these interviews and sort of oral history and how people described her and sort of layered it on top of one another and found the through line. And from that, people would describe her physicality, and I worked with a movement coach to sort of put that into my body and figure out what her center was. And people described her as like a bowling ball down these streets of New York, and I certainly resonate with that as someone who's lived here since college, and New Yorkers really try to get where they're going fast. But yeah, it was sort of this puzzle piece of figuring out, not only sort of wrapping my head around it and her personality and attitude, but also trying to move my body in a way that was evocative of some of these still photos and the short amount and the small amount of videography that we had of her.
Looking people. It's a great look, and those of us with curly hair too really keeps it all kind of together and really just perfects the.
Well, you can't really listen to any of the chatter because, of course, you're aware of it. How can you not be? But you can't really change your work. You have to show up and say the lines that are on the page. We had such an incredible team who honored this story and expanded on it and just exploded it. And the great thing about Ryan and all the people that work with him is that they make such beautiful television. This medium is a one that requires craft, and this is a very specific art. We're not making a documentary. We're making television. This is a scripted series, and the people that made this show are the masters of it.
Even in his voice, he's still, maybe now less than ever, but definitely at this time that I was playing him, he still had, a kind of a bit of Bronx in his voice, but, there was also this kind of like lilting sound of somebody who'd spent, time around Paris fashion shows. So that was important to me to have that both in the voice and for it to like infect every part of my behavior and emotional psychology as well.
It's photos of her that had excerpts from different interviews or books that I had read. It was such a great sort of
How do you make it your own? Like to tell stories on your to make them Dries stories, not Ernest's, not Marielle's.
I just think it's about my truth, no? And it's about being in my own authenticity rather than I'm not trying to compete with anybody in my family. I'm not trying to one up anybody. I have respect for everyone. I admire everyone deeply, and they've been a huge inspiration to me as a woman, as a Hemingway, and as an actress.